Welcome to State of Tech. My name's Jared, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons you would choose a MacBook Pro over a Windows powerhouse like the Razer Blade. Now, I have the MacBook Pro. This is the 15-inch, fully maxed out version that was released most recently. This has the touch bar. The only thing it has that is not maxed out is it has 1 terabyte of hard drive versus the maxed out version of 2 terabytes of hard drive space. And over here, I have the Razer Blade from late 2016, which is not the Kaby Lake model that was just released, that at the time that I'm recording this video isn't even shipping yet, but this is the, it has, you know, kind of an equivalent processor more equivalent to the MacBook Pro, because the MacBook Pro isn't Kaby Lake either. This is the 16 gigabytes of RAM, has 1 terabyte of hard drive space, and it has a GTX 1060 graphics card inside of it. So differences here, definitely, but I'm going to talk about what I think would be the top 5 reasons that you would choose a Mac over a PC, specifically these two that we have here on the table today. The first one, of course, would be the Apple ecosystem. You know, the whole Apple ecosystem works well together. If you're an iPhone user, if you have an iPad, if you have an Apple TV, if you have other Macs in your vicinity, the Apple ecosystem just works well together, and it works well in so many different ways. Obviously, there's ways to connect Windows computers to different things as well, but it's more geared towards the enterprise level and connecting through big networks, fancy networks, and complicated systems, whereas the Apple ecosystem here just tends to work and connect. You can easily share images through AirDrop between your iPhone and your Mac. You can send stuff between other computers just really easily using AirDrop. It's a fantastic integration. You can send and respond to text messages, and answer phone calls from your iPhone, right? So the whole ecosystem is just much better. Obviously, with Windows, if you wanted to go full Windows ecosystem, you have to go with a Windows Phone, which I have a Windows Phone, the Lumia 950 XL, I think it is, and it's just not that great of a phone. It just, you know, was a bummer in so many different ways. It was a good phone. It was probably one of the best Windows phones ever made, but it just can't hold. It just can't hold up against an iPhone or any Android phone for that matter. So the Apple ecosystem is just a much better, well-rounded ecosystem for the average user, and that would be the first reason why you would pick a MacBook Pro or a Mac laptop of any sort over a Windows laptop such as the Razer Blade here. The second one are apps. Now, games is a whole nother subject, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the top 5 reasons that you would choose the Razer Blade over a MacBook Pro. But apps typically just look better and are better supported and just have more features on the Mac. Now, I am a software developer, web developer, and I spend a lot of time writing code, and I get used to some of these really nice, fine-tuned, nice user experience pieces of software that I can use on a Mac. And then when I go over to PC, I'm using, yes, there's software that's useful and it has some of the features, but the user experience isn't that good. People just don't think about that stuff so much when they develop for Windows than when they develop for the Mac. When they develop for the Mac, they've got good developers, they've got good UI people or UX people, and then, of course, over on Windows, I just feel like they don't pay attention to the user experience as much. And so there's a lot of applications for the Mac that just have a better overall user experience than when you're over here on PC, on Windows. And that's not a Razer thing, that just is a overall experience on the device. And you know, a big part of these devices, the Mac is only a Mac because of the operating system, and the Razer is only a PC because of the Windows operating system that runs on it. So the Apple ecosystem and the apps being the second thing are just, you know, just really good. There's great apps for Windows, but there's just so much more, and the user experience is typically better on the Mac than there is on Windows. It's funny because you used to not be able to get a lot of good software on the Mac, and you'd only get useful software on Windows, but the tables have kind of turned there. And you can still get a lot of good software for Windows. I don't want to knock that. I don't want to frustrate anybody. But when it comes down to user experience, when it comes down to some of those new features, those leading edge features, a lot of times you see those in software on the Mac before you see them in some software on the PC these days. It's just the way that it is. It's like iPhone and Android. Display resolution is another thing. You can get this Razer in 1080 display or 4K display, but the MacBook Pro is kind of a nice sweet spot in the middle as far as the resolution goes. It's not 4K, it's lower than that, but it's not 1080, it's higher than that. And even just in the resolution and of the display and everything about the display, I'm better able to utilize my screen real estate on a Mac than I am in a PC. When with your display resolution on a Mac, you resize your resolution, everything conforms really well and adjusts really well. On a PC, if you change your resolution or move anything around, it definitely messes a lot of things up. You know, I go every day from using my laptop as a laptop to using a display, and when I unplug that display, a lot of my applications are weirdly sized and windows are weird. It's just an odd phenomenon that happens, and it happens because Microsoft with Windows 10 just hasn't written in enough enough code to compensate for all of the variations. It's how sometimes when you're on Android and an app looks really good on one Android phone but doesn't on another Android phone. It's that kind of issue. And it's not a Razer. Well, it probably could be something that's fixed with software. Razer could definitely mitigate that by probably writing some code. But, going from a display, which a lot of us are going to use a laptop like this with an external display for gaming and different things, or if you're a creative like me and you want to edit video and stuff on a machine like this, like utilizing your screen resolution is extremely important. And 4K resolution is a lot of resolution for a smaller display, a 14-inch display. And so using your display at that resolution is really hard. It's probably only useful in games that support 4K resolution. It's not very useful to use your desktop and use different apps at that 4K resolution, so that becomes problematic. On the Mac, they do a much better job of utilizing resolution for that. And of course, there aren't the games that are available. The experience of gaming on a Mac isn't as good typically as on a PC because of horsepower that the computer has, but the way that Macs utilize resolution is so much better. Number 4 is the battery life. I don't know of one Windows machine that can even stand near the amount of battery life that you'd get out of a Mac. Even a maxed out Mac like this with the fastest quad-core processor available, and the slightly bigger graphics card, not nearly like this graphics card, but slightly bigger graphics card, I can go all day long using this computer on a single charge, whereas with the Razer, I'm running out of battery within a very small amount of time, which is just a real bummer not to be able to use it as a laptop for long periods of time. And that is just a side effect of the Windows machine and it having a much more powerful graphics card like the GTX 1060 that's in this. And then, it's the operating system is not optimized for the exact hardware that's in it. There's differences. Apple makes one computer essentially, and everything is optimized for the hardware that's in it. Windows 10, everything requires drivers. It's not so optimized. So it's hard to get good battery life out of any Windows machine. But the Razer Blade with its beefier internals definitely takes a toll on the battery life, and you just can't get away from the fact that the MacBook Pro has an extremely lengthier battery life. Now the fifth thing is the macOS. Now this goes a little bit into the whole Apple ecosystem, but macOS, which used to be called OS X, is just a lot better, well put together of an operating system than Windows. Windows 10 is fantastic. It is the best operating system Windows has had, in my opinion, since Windows XP, which Windows XP was pretty good. It had its shortfalls, of course, but Windows 10 is great. Like, Windows 10 is just a slow clap for like 10 minutes from me, because Windows 10 is just a great operating system. Like, Microsoft finally stopped screwing around with Windows 8, with Windows Vista, all the failures that they had in there with operating systems, and Windows 10 is great. I love some of the things. I'm going to talk more about Windows 10 in the other video, but macOS is just seamless. It has no issues. It's less buggy. It works much better. And I'll take that back and give another benefit of the doubt, because, you know, with Mac, they're building an operating system for computers that they build, not for computers that are going to be put together by many different manufacturers. It's the same thing with Android, and Android has to work on all of these different devices. You know, the iPhone is much easier for iOS or for, you know, the iPhone operating system, because it is one platform developed for one hardware. It's just easier. So I get it. It's kind of hard to say choose a Mac because of Mac OS. Mac OS is really good. It's really secure. It's really stable. It's just a great user experience. And a lot of these user experience features have started to show up in Windows 10, and that's one of the reasons why Windows 10 is getting so much better, because user experience is starting to go back into Windows. But Mac still has it, still has the better user experience. Everything from opening up your laptop, you know, the way that it comes back on and not having to shut it down, the sleep modes, just the way that the laptop operates, just typically is better than most Windows PCs. That's not necessarily a definitive reason to choose a Mac, but if these five reasons that I've talked about are important to you, which a lot of them are very important to me, it would be a reason why you would choose a MacBook Pro like this over something that kind of looks like a MacBook Pro, but is in fact a Windows PC. So I'm going to talk about why I think the Razer Blade is better than the MacBook Pro in the next video. So make sure to check out the link that's going to show up at the end of this video or down in the description below. Hey, you know, I hope this video helped you. Give it a thumbs up if it did, and also give us a subscribe here on State of Tech. I'd love to have you along for other videos. We do a lot of talks about the differences between machines, the differences between technology, and a lot of how-to stuff. And you know, our goal here is just to help everybody make better decisions and know more about their technology. So if you like that, subscribe to us, because we'd love to have you along. So make sure to check out the other video. I've also provided links in the description below to where you could pick up both of these machines over on Amazon. So if you're interested in buying one, the pricing, the specs, all the options are at those links down below. So make sure to check those out. Hey, thanks so much for being here with us today on State of Tech. Make sure to hop on over and check out that Razer Blade video, top 5 reasons to choose a Razer Blade over a MacBook Pro. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you there.